Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Bronson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. Yankees win.
All right. Well, here we are again. This Knicks team, has not found a way to string together wins all year. They had the 9-game winning streak. That was like it. They have not been good outside that. And it continues to be a hell of an underwhelming season. Yet they still sit at the 3 seed, not too far off the 2 seed. I don't know the exact amount of games, but it's not felt like a good year yet. They're right there, but it's just hard to get behind this team. If I were to tell you this is an easy team to root for, I'd be lying. This is probably the most difficult Knicks contender to root for. I have a hard time liking them. Nothing they do inspires any type of confidence. I don't know, man. They were in this game for most of it, but again, they don't, like, the offense was bad. I expected that without Towns. The defense was terrible. The defense, in my opinion, and we're going to talk about, it's going to be the theme of the episode again. Terrible. Sure, they were brutal offensively, obviously. 99 shitty points. There were some good things, some good X's and O's things that, you want to see continue, right? Boomer sets to get OG corner 3-point looks. That's been a bit of a theme lately. They had a really nice play where it was a strong reject, which got McHale a corner 3-point look late in the second quarter. They've continued to run floppy actions to get Brunson off-ball advantages. You saw that again in the top of the second half. And they were getting Brunson off-ball looks continuously last night. A lot of catch-and-shoot looks. But for the most part, the offense remained bad. Not remained, but it was bad. Despite some of the good things. Again, 99 points is not good enough. It's a tough defense. And when Tom Thibodeau is going out there and he's playing Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims at the same time, and a lot of that was with Hart out there and Brunson not on the floor, you're not going to generate much offense. Now, he wanted size against a team like Minnesota, but there were possessions in this game where the Knicks were running offense through Precious and Jericho. And I'm sitting here, what the hell are we doing? Precious has taken fadeaway jumpers, at the nail. And so it was just rough, and down the stretch of this game, Minnesota was switching everything, and the Knicks, once again, they stalled. They had no answer for it, and so they lose 116-99 at the Garden against the Timberwolves last night. They clearly missed Karl Anthony Towns. Jalen Brunson got off to a hot start, cooled off significantly after that, the first quarter. And, you got a nice bounce back from OG Anunoby. So that was good. Campaign was red hot for a bit there. That was nice. And I guess that's where we'll start to get the good out of the way. OG Anunoby last night, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He shot 5 for 10, was 3 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 6 at the foul line. So it was nice to get an efficient offensive performance from OG. It was nice to see him find his shot again. He's important for as long as Towns sits out. So he's now got 7 game balls on the year. That's an important thing to get OG going. So hopefully that's the start of something for him. That's OG Anunoby. He was the best among the starters, I thought, last night. You go to the second unit. Campaign was great. 18 points in 13 minutes. Shot 7 of 10, 4 of 5 from 3. Obviously, he was red hot there in that early second quarter. Early second quarter, he scored 16 points in 4 minutes and change. So he was red hot. He's always good at the Garden. The Garden goes nuts when he knocks down his shots because he's an energy guy. He takes some heat checks, and they're not always in the flow of the offense, but when they go in, it feels good. He's a guy who ups the pace, gets 3-point looks up in volume, and that's what you want on this team. And people are crying that he didn't get more minutes in the second half. It's easy, on the surface, it's like, this guy was great. Why didn't he play more? Again, talked about it at the end of the last episode. The answer is obvious for anyone willing to listen. Tibbs likes size. Brunson plays a ton. Deuce is their 6th man. So you're not getting 3-guard lineups much, especially against a matchup like Minnesota. That's it. It's an easy, simple answer. You don't have to agree with it, but that's at least a valid reason. It's not like he's doing it for this egregious reason. It makes sense. There are games where I don't agree with it too. In a game like this, where you don't have Towns' size and you're playing against this Wolves team that have wingspan, that have size in the front court, I get it. But Campaign had a great game. 10 game balls now on the season for Campaign. He continues to do his thing as Shamit's now out of the rotation, rightly so. But that's all regarding the positives from this game, because I want to go back and touch on this defense. And the defense continues to be, I could say continues to be a problem. That's obvious. It's a personnel issue more than it is schemes, in my opinion. And we'll get to the specifics of the game in a minute. But I put out a tweet yesterday explaining these defensive issues the best that I could. This is just from my shitty, podcaster with 2 listeners perspective. In my opinion, it's both scheme and personnel. Like, you can't put this all on the head coach. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Knicks were top 10 in defense last year, even better than that after the OG trade, with just one mismatch in your starting 5. And now I think they fell to 16th in defense this year with 2 mismatches in your starting 5, when Towns is healthy. To me, that's it. It's a little bit of coaching, but it's more personnel. And Tibbs, his primary pick and roll coverage is drop. And most NBA teams, by the way, run drop on pick and roll. There's this, I get it, it's a 3-point heavy league, but there's this narrative out there that drop coverage is something from the 1990s. No, a lot of teams run drop. And the idea of drop coverage, at least regarding the Knicks, it was to limit Karl Anthony Towns' movement, right? To keep him, it's a conservative approach with Towns. It's to keep him from moving on the perimeter. It's to keep him out of foul trouble. It's to keep him near the basket to eliminate the threat of second chance points, right? Rebounding. The hope was that Towns would get some help from his guards and his wings, that they'd be quick enough to get over the top and recover at the point of attack. That's not been the case, right? And Mikal Bridges and the Knicks guards, they've been slow in recovery, constantly being detached behind the hips in penetration. Pause. And that leaves Karl Anthony Towns often in 2-on-1 situations where he's forced to defend the ball and the roll. And because of that, the Knicks are often forced to send corner and wing help. And when the Knicks have to send help, then the Knicks need to rotate off the help when they make the kick out. Right? And that's an issue. And drop coverage is also an issue because, again, you're in an era where everybody can knock down a 3-point shot, 1 to 5. And Towns dropping back will concede some open 3-point looks. Precious dropping back will concede open 3-point looks. Sims, that's a coverage thing. That to me is scheme. That's a Tibbs thing. And the Knicks don't often adjust from drop coverage depending on the opponent like they should. There are matchups where I feel like they should go away from a drop, but they don't. So I understand that. Now there's the other side that's like, we all want different coverages out there, but what coverage will consistently work? You know, if the Knicks switch pick and roll, well, that's a mismatch 2 out of 5 times. It's also a super taxing coverage to go to, given that your two offensive weapons in Brunson and Towns are doing so much for you on that end, and they're doing it 40-plus minutes a night. They're your two mismatches. It's a very taxing coverage. If you want the Knicks to hedge pick and roll a lot more, to play at the level a lot more, it's also very taxing. But you also now have to rely on recovering and rotating quick enough. And you have to hedge hard. You know, often the Knicks are too soft on their hedges, and they're beat on the outside, and they let the guard turn the corner like Brunson. You know, often last night you saw that. Or Towns is very slow-footed, and he's not great fundamentally when he comes to the level. His stance is not great. The positioning's not great, and he allows an open lane like we saw against the Pistons with Cade Cunningham getting easy pathways. If you want the Knicks to blitz and double the pick and roll, well, that's going to be a mismatch if Brunson or Campaign or even Deuce McBride is put into action. If they're one of the two blitzing, well, now the offensive weapon can pass right over them because they're very small. So that's where the personnel comes into it, right? All of this has led to miscommunication and a lack of cohesion because Tibbs is constantly trying to find different solutions and mix and match and try to do these different things. Primarily, he's been a drop because he feels that's the best way to optimize his personnel. He's trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I don't think it can be all on him. I really do think it's a little bit more personnel. And so last night, you got a lot of bad defense in a lot of different ways. First of all, Minnesota knocked down 22 3-point makes on 55%. They also had some really easy pathways to the basket too. But I mean, Naz Reid was 6 for 6 from 3. Anthony Edwards, 36 points after a cold start. He goes 8 for 13 from 3. The Knicks' defensive rating last night, they gave up 116. Their defensive rating was 126. Awful. And again, it was in many different ways. Drop coverage issues, right? Point of attack, fighting over the screen, conceding 3-point looks from drop itself, We'll get to that in a bit. Overhelping, refusing to stay home. We'll get to that. But like bad hedging, miscommunication in transition, not picking up your assignment quick enough. Jericho Sims was brutal at times in this game. There were a lot of times in transition the Knicks just didn't pick up. Middle of the first quarter, Naz Reid gets an easy weak side corner 3-point look on the break. And it's because nobody picked him up between McHale, Hart, and Precious. Nobody tagged him. Conley gets a pull-up wing 3-pointer in transition in the middle of that first quarter, and Josh Hart's playing the drive. He's sagging, giving him way too much room. Second quarter, middle of the second quarter, McDaniels gets a pull-up 2-pointer on the break. Again, miscommunicating in transition. Nobody picks him up. OG's late to recover. Easy basket. The amount of times that Jalen Brunson was beat hedging pick and roll. Late in the second quarter, Anthony Edwards gets a driving layup. Brunson hedges the pick and roll, but he still lets Anthony Edwards turn the corner as he's beat on the outside. It has to be a hard hedge. It has to be a hard hedge. That dunk he had, that Michael Jordan-esque dunk in the fourth quarter, Brunson, a sorry hedge, just way too soft of a hedge. Lets him turn the corner on him. If you're going to hedge, the point of the hedge is to not let that happen. He gets that and-one, Anthony Edwards does, at the top of the second half. OG gives away the lane. Jericho, with a stupid foul off a switch, just like crosses him and like swipes him as he crosses him and gets out of the way. It was just nonsense. But I did think a lot of the issues came in drop covers last night. A lot at the point of attack, but some in drop. And I want to talk about that when we return from our first break here on the podcast. So stay with us. We'll be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 784. The Knicks allow the Wolves to dance. They really did. A lot of point of attack problems in drop coverage last night. The fourth quarter especially. You had the top of the period. Rudy Gobert gets a dunk off pick and roll. Deuce is caught on the screen. Precious is then forced to come up. He gives up the roll because of that. There about a minute and a half later, Naz Reid knocks down a pick and pop 3-pointer off of a double drag. Campaign struggles to recover off the screen. Precious is then forced to come up from drop. OG's forced to tag Rudy with Precious up on drop. And now OG's assignment in Naz Reid gets an open 3-point look. It all starts from those point of attack breakdowns. The Knicks have talked about this in their postgame. Middle of the fourth quarter, Rudy Gobert gets another dunk off pick and roll. Josh Hart struggles to recover off the screen. Jericho's then forced to pick up Hart's man on the drive. Now Jericho has to give up the roll because of that. I don't love drop against Minnesota because they've got a deadly pick and roll tandem in Edwards and Rudy Gobert. Anthony Edwards is elite downhill. Rudy Gobert is an elite roller. So, you don't have that size last night without Towns, and it just didn't work. The drop coverage itself, the Knicks bigs were giving up. They were conceding a couple of threes there, especially in that second quarter. Early in the period, Naz Reid gets a pick and pop three off of a horn set at the top of the key. Precious is in drop coverage. Probably should have been a switch, and you live with the small on Naz Reid. In this case, it would have been Deuce McBride. He can handle that. They spam that action a lot for Naz. Late in the second quarter, Anthony Edwards gets one of those pull-up three-pointers that he had. He had a number of them. Precious is in drop with Mikhail caught on the ball screen. That should have been an auto switch. You got two defenders with wingspan there. You switch that. And we talked about this last episode, how utilizing Precious Achiuwa in switch is very important. His skill set, he's not great for the Knicks. But the one thing Precious can do is switch. He's got quick feet. He's long. He's a big, versatile wing, right? But the Knicks play him and drop a lot. There was some switching with him last night, but I didn't think it was enough. And then, man, the off-ball defense, like the overcommitting to the help, the refusal to stay home. This team overhelps consistently, and I'm getting a little tired of it. All throughout this game. I mean, middle of the first quarter, Dillingham knocks down a corner off of an Anthony Edwards driving kick because Cam Payne is just wandering off of him. His back is to him, and he's ball watching for a little bit. He takes his eyes off him, and Dillingham relocates a couple steps to the corner, knocks down a three. He knocks down a wing three-pointer early in the second quarter where Josh Hart is helping middle off of a Alexander Walker, Rudy Gobert pick and roll. Stay home. Stay home there. Middle of the second quarter, Naz Reid knocks down a wing three. Hart sagging off him, gives him too much space. He falls asleep again. Late second quarter, Mike Conley knocks down a corner. Brunson helps off. Stay home there. Stay home. This is an established three-point veteran in Conley. And on that play, Anthony Edwards picked up his dribble at the end of the drive. That's your sign right there to close. Brunson doesn't recover in time. 1 minute later, Naz Reid knocks down a wing three. Precious is bringing post help to Randall, but never commits to the help, so he's kind of in no man's land. Randall makes a kick to the wing. Stay home. You're not in position to help there, and you're bringing help. Now you're asking Brunson to rotate, which doesn't make sense. Now, should OG have doubled on that Randall post-up? That's a good question. But I didn't think Precious bringing help was really doing anything there. Late third quarter, Naz Reid knocks down an elbow three. Deuce on this possession stunts the Cam Payne's assignment one pass away as Cam recovers. He's trying to prevent the possible drive, but he takes too long to retreat. Got to be quicker. The pass was made, and he's still on him. He's not rotating yet. You got to know your personnel. Naz Reid can shoot. Early in the fourth quarter, Alexander Walker knocks down an elbow three. Brunson's ball watching. The defense outside of Brunson was great, but he's sitting there watching the ball. He falls asleep. Stay home. You're not in position to help there. You're on the weak side. Middle of the fourth, McDaniels knocks down a corner. Deuce is tagging Rudy from the weak side and help to Precious. Stay home. You're not in a position to help on Rudy Gobert. What are you going to do there? It's just nonsensical help defense. And I think that's just, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to sit here and really find a good solution. I don't think they're capable of playing good defense. And I think that's going to be the reason that they're kicked out of the postseason this year in whatever round it is. They're sure as shit not winning the finals. So it's bad. It's really bad. So that's it. Quick one. We're going to wrap this up soon. Let's get to break. Get back. We'll talk about the upcoming games on the schedule. Stay with us. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune in to our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. All right, welcome back to the show, episode 784 of the podcast. The Knicks lose 116-119 to the Wolves. Bad loss. 7 games left on this homestand where they've begun 0-1. They've got the Hawks on Monday, so they have a 2-day break. Monday at 3 p.m. is the Hawks game. It's obviously MLK game, MLK Day. But this is a game I circled on the schedule. You never know. This could result in an NBA postseason matchup if the Hawks match up with the Knicks, and they win their play-in shit. This is a matchup that I don't like for the Knicks. They beat the Knicks both times this season, and I think they play them well. Defensively, they scheme them well. Dyson Daniels at the point of attack gives Brunson problems. So hopefully the Knicks can figure that out on a Monday. They've got the Nets on Tuesday, the 21st. That's at Barclay, so it's another home game. The Nets have tapered off, as expected, since the last time these two teams met. Kings on Saturday the 25th. That's a bad team this year. I guess playing a little better since they hired their new coach, but Mike Brown should not have been fired. Memphis, Monday the 27th. That's a game I circled on the schedule. They are a half game out of the 2 seed, I believe. They're a team that is top 5 in both offense and defense. They're a good defense, long, switchable defense. We talked about that. That gives the Knicks some problems. So that's the Memphis game. Then they've got the Nuggets, Wednesday the 29th. The Lakers, Saturday, February 1st. And then the Rockets to wrap up the homestand on Monday the 3rd. Another game that I'm looking at. They've handled the Knicks before. In November, they beat the Knicks, I believe. They are a top 2 seed. Also a top 10 defense, top 10 offense, but their defense is what I'm looking at. They gave the Knicks problems. Thompson's good. Long, switchable team. Another one of those teams that the Knicks have to figure out. But that's what's on the schedule coming up next. And again, Monday, MLK Day, you got the Hawks. So let's get to our trivia to wrap this one up. Okay. In this episode 784, our trivia question of the day. In their inaugural matchup in November 1989, which 3 Knicks scored over 20 points against the Wolves? In their inaugural matchup in November 1989, which 3 Knicks scored over 20 points against the Wolves? If you want a hint, Patrick Ewing was the leading scorer. So, who are the other 2? Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. I appreciate you all for tuning in, as always. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4. But episode 784 is in the books. See you soon. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.